Hey guys, welcome to Vintage Star Wars Review Episode 2. Today we're going to look at R2-D2. Quickly starting on the left here, we have the first R2 released, known as the Solid Dome. He made his first appearance with the Early Bird set and on 12 backs. Next we have the pop-up sensor scope R2. He appeared on the Empire Strikes Back cards. In the middle here we have the Droid Factory R2-D2. Some people consider this an action figure, some don't. I do, so he's in the video. Beside him we have the Power of the Force R2-D2, and finally the Droids line R2-D2. So the first R2-D2, I mean, pretty simple design, cylindrical body with a dome top and legs. I mean, pretty simplistic. I think Kenner went for a really budgetary, friendly an expedient production process here with just a simple label design. It just has that retro feel to it. I think that's why a lot of collectors love this guy. I mean, there's no mistaking this figure. When you see it, you just know it's vintage Kenner. It's just simple but effective, which is a hallmark of a lot of Kenner's lines. Although I gotta say, not a lot of steps were made to improve upon this, I don't think, during the run. I mean, they just, cookie cuttered it and kept the simplistic design and just added small features. As you can see here on the next one, the sensor scope R2, just the addition of this, blue sensor scope. Other than that, it's essentially the same figure. And you get that theme, except with the Droid Factory one. Pretty boring, in my opinion. I love the figure. I just think overall in the line it was a little recycled, but it's still effective for what it is. Next, of course, is the Droid Factory R2-D2, which is my favorite, for an obvious reason, is this third leg. It, of course, is the most realistic in my opinion. It's the best representation they made of R2 because of that leg. Now, a lot of people say, okay, it's from the Droid Factory, which is a play set of parts, so therefore it's just parts, it's not a figure. Well, I wholly disagree with that. I mean, you assemble it from parts, yes, fair enough, but it functions the same as the rest of the R2-D2s. It's an action figure, and that's what I remember doing with it, thinking, wow, I buy this playset and I get this exclusive figure, which is essentially what I believe Kenner was aiming for. They're not going to release the Droid Factory without R2 and just say, here's some generic droids with a Star Wars label. I don't think that's what they were thinking. They were thinking, let's make this creative playset, which was a good design idea, and let's throw in, an exclusive figure. I mean, and who else fits that the best than R2-D2? Simple to include in the set, easy to build, and it gives kids, an exclusive kind of figure. That's my thought anyway. But it is by far my favorite, because it is the most realistic version of R2 in my opinion. And beside that, of course, is the Power of the Force with the pop-up lightsaber. And beside that is the Droid series cartoon line from 1985. Again, same thing, except the droids, they opted to update the sticker and dome to reflect a more cartoonish feel, to match the cartoon. One thing I wanted to point out quickly is that, I hope you can see the contrast here, the color in the lightsabers. The Power of the Force has a lighter green lightsaber, the droids has a darker green lightsaber. This is important to note for two reasons, so you don't pick up the wrong one if you're trying to complete a Droids or a Power of the Force one. And number two, the fakes for these are rampant, and I mean rampant. You can pick up reproduction lightsabers for these figures on eBay for $1, and it's dangerous. I mean, if you don't know what you're looking for and stuff, you're gonna get ripped off. So be really mindful of that, guys. A good site to check out, is Imperial Gunnery. They have a pretty good database of all the fakes. So take a look at that. I mean, you can always go on social media and all the other forums. People can point it out for you. But I mean, the fakes are pretty obvious once you've seen a real lightsaber for these figures. You can spot them pretty easily. But a lot of new collectors get killed by that, and it's unfortunate. Overall, again, I love the figure, love the character. But, I think as far as the longevity in the Kenner line, I thought it was pretty boring. And I lost interest, I remember as a kid, really fast. with R2. I always loved my original, and that was my, go-to. And by the time my parents got rid of my toys, the label was gone. There was no more chrome on the dome, so to speak. But I still loved it, and I really didn't have an interest in anything else until now. As a collector, of course, it's the Power of the Force droids versions that are commanding some money, But I always like, when it comes to Kenner, I always like the simplest things best, and I think that's really reflected in the original R2. Just really basic design. A little boring overall, I think, in the line, but great figure. And again, from a design perspective, what I'm really fascinated with as a collector is just the simplicity. It shows you how you can take a movie representation or any kind of representation of a character and just make such an elegant, simple design. And I don't think, in my opinion, any of the R2 figures that I've seen over the last going on 40 years almost come anywhere close to this guy right here. I think he's tops for the R2 figures. Even the modern stuff to me just looks so bad. And just a simple sticker, beautiful design in simplicity. The clicking dome, for kids at that time, you couldn't have asked for better. And I think especially when they were under the gun, to get the merchandise out, after the first movie exploded, I think they did a really, really good job overall. If you're an R2-D2 Focus collector, it's a great thing to focus on, especially with the carded stuff. One figure I did not include in this video is the Japanese Takara wind-up figure. The reason I didn't include that is because I don't think that that's an action figure. I think it's in a separate category of wind-up toys. Now, you can debate that. You may have that in your collection as a completionist. R2-D2 Focus collectors will probably have that for sure. But I just don't think it fits the Kenner line, so to speak. It was a Japanese, Canada release. I remember that as a kid. And but yeah, I think it's in a different league of its own in terms of toys. And ironically, that actually does have physical body sculpting as opposed to a sticker label. So, I'm going to do a video on it in the future, talking about what is an action figure when it comes to Star Wars and what isn't. So look out for that. So until next time, guys, stay tuned, and we will see you later. Ciao.